building. Iran, Russia, China hold joint naval drills. This is the fifth such exercise between the two sides, between the three countries since 2019. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says that U.S. is stronger than all three put together. Canada's Liberal Party names Justin Trudeau's successor. Former banker Mark Carney will become the next Canada Prime Minister, and he will then take the party towards the election scheduled later this year. Big question, will he repair the India-Canada relationship? Ahead of a crucial meeting between Mohammed bin Salman and Ukrainian President Zelensky, who is set to be there to negotiate possible peace terms, Zelensky says that he's fully committed to dialogue with the United States. Ukraine ready to move forward on truce, says the Ukrainian president. Prime Minister Modi is headed on a two-day visit to Mauritius. Prime Minister Modi will grace the island nation's National Day celebrations as the chief guest on the 12th of March. Several pacts in areas of capacity building, trade and tackling cross-border financial crimes are likely to be signed during the trip that starts Tuesday. A special reason for the bilateral ties is also that Indian origin people comprise about 70% of the island's population of 12 lakh. India and Mauritius are set to unveil a range of measures to enhance maritime security, defense and scientific cooperation during Prime Minister Modi's visit. In fact, let's also get in this very exclusive conversation that my colleague Mohammed Ghazali, who's in Mauritius, he had with the foreign minister of the country. Listen in.
After a decade, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Mauritius, and to talk more about the details of the trip and what would be the focus of this trip, I'm joined here by the Foreign Minister of Mauritius, Mr. Dhananjay Rampal. Thanks for speaking to us, sir.
It's a pleasure for me.
My first question, how do you see the bilateral ties growing between the two countries since 2015? Because that was the first time the Prime Minister visited here and he spoke about multiple policies and how to deepen the ties.
Well, since his visit, there have been various projects where we have had assistance from India. If you go around Mauritius, you will see a lot of infrastructural projects, the Supreme Court building, you have Metro Express, you have various other infrastructural projects that have been partly financed by India in terms of lines of credit or grants, etc. And now we are with the visit of the Prime Minister of India. We are looking more of bringing that traditional relationship to a new height. Talking about, for example, being India and Mauritius being a strategic partner in the region, right? We shouldn't forget that as far as the Indian Ocean is concerned, we both want that the Indian Ocean be an open, secure and safe place, right? Because we have common interests as far as the Indian Ocean is concerned. Bearing in mind that the Indian Ocean is an important trade route, right? So we are thinking also about increasing that partnership as far as maritime security is concerned. So both countries are going to sign an MOU, which will be important as far as maritime security is concerned. I'm talking about sharing of information on commercial ships moving in the region. I'm talking about a joint surveillance exercise between the two countries. I'm talking about support on technical issues and capacity building.
Okay, I was coming to the maritime security bit because Prime Minister back in 2015 when he visited here, he spoke about Sagar, the security and growth for all in the region. We have seen that how Chinese influence is increasing in the region, and India has been assisting Mauritius in as far as the Agalega Island is concerned and other maritime. So Can you just share with us what would be the specifics of that MOU which is being going to be signed when the Prime Minister visits here?
See, this part of the Indian Ocean is a very important trade route. It connects Asia to Africa and also to Europe. So it has a strategic importance. And this is why it is important, since both countries share the Indian Ocean. It is important that we cooperate with each other, and so that we make that region secure. Right? So this is where this partnership, the signature of the MOU, will be important for both countries.
Okay, I'm now turning attention to the other very important story we're addressing on the broadcast. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is due to arrive in Saudi Arabia on Monday, today, a day ahead of crucial talks that will take place between Ukrainian and U.S. officials on possible ways to end the war with Russia. The highly anticipated negotiations that will take place on Tuesday towards resolving the conflict will see the two sides, that is the American and Ukrainian officials, coming together for the first time since that very disastrous meeting that took place between Donald Trump and Zelensky in White House. Zelensky has said that Ukraine is fully committed to constructive dialogue but wants its interests to be taken into account. Essentially, what Zelensky has been saying is that he wants defense guarantees from the U.S. and only then will he move ahead as far as the peace settlement is concerned. The minerals deal also was, of course, on the table. Remains to be seen whether it's still on the table or whether it will also be part of a larger settlement. Okay, let's get in Qamar Agha, who's a West Asia expert, to try and understand what is the role that Saudi Arabia can play in this and how significant are these conversations taking place in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. Mr. Agha, some of those big questions will play out for our viewers on the screens, which essentially talk about the reason, the relevance and the rationale for these talks to be in Riyadh. How important do you think the role of Mohammed bin Salman could be as a possible mediator?
Mohammed bin Salman has very good ties with both Russia as well as America. This was one of the reasons, for American decided to host talks in Riyadh. Besides this, he also maintains a fairly good relation with Ukrainians. He is neutral in war. He has neither condemned Russia nor supported the war. He was opposed to, and he the one who's been promoting right from the beginning, that it should be settled through peaceful negotiation. His role is basically as a facilitator. And earlier, he has succeeded in getting a release or the prisoner exchange, that one of the major deals, he stuck. Then after that, both have developed trust in him. The Americans, the Russians, as well as the Ukrainian President Zelensky. So that is why it has been another point, because Europe doesn't have any ties, any good relation with the Russians. So Russia, that was ruled out. The Europe as a venue for negotiations was ruled out by the Americans. So they thought, this is the best place. And then he has very good relations with both. And secondly, Russia, Saudi Arabia is the most trusted ally of the United States in this region.
Okay.
And are providing security, basically are the protector of Saudi Arabia. So these are the things, which encourages both the leaders of Saudi Arabia and sort of.
So Saudi Arabia itself has a very dubious record when it comes to human rights. Hardly should be talking about human rights or possibly mediating wars, but this is more than that. How do you see this in terms of the delegations meeting once again after that disastrous meeting that took place between the leaders about 10 days back?
It's a serious issue, It will take long to sort it out. Yes, Saudi Arabia doesn't believe, has a problem with the human rights record. was condemned by international community as well as by the Americans and UN Human Rights Commission. All was there, but also a very trusted ally of the United Nations and Western nation. It's basically a Western ally in that region. And Western countries have trust in Saudi leadership. So that is why one thing. And secondly, yes, it is up to the Russians and Zelensky. Plus, basically, the Russians as well as the Americans, they have to sort it out. Saudis are just a facilitator, providing place and then, trying to bridge the gap between the two. This is what they have been doing for quite some time. And will they succeed or not, if time will come? It looks, now American pressure is on Ukraine, and Ukraine is now willing to come out with some sort of settlement because the President Zelensky has already announced it. He is ready for a deal. Also, he would also meet with the American delegation and try to find out, the rare earth material deal and other things.
Yes.
Without the American support, this war cannot continue for a longer period of time. This is one thing. It has been proved. America major funder of the war as well as the weapon supplier.
All right. Yes, we leave it there, Mr. Agha. Thanks much for breaking that down for us. Of course, a lot of questions still remain. Whether that minerals pact will actually be signed after those delegation meetings, and of course, what all is at stake. For Saudi Arabia, well, it means a lot more in terms of lifting its geopolitical status if it's able to move ahead on this. All right, shifting focus now, a British diplomat and the spouse of another diplomat are being expelled from Russia, the country's domestic security service has informed. In what is being seen as possibly a tit-for-tat escalation, the two men are accused of intelligence and subversive work by the Federal Security Service, or the FSB, which has said that they had been stripped off their accreditation in order to leave Russia within 2 weeks. The British government hit back by accusing Russia of making malicious and baseless accusations. All right, on that note, we slip into a quick break. We come back on the other side with what's really happening in terms of the Iran-Russia military drills and its larger impact. Stay with us.
Find a pet-friendly Italian restaurant with outdoor seating nearby and text it to Luca.
Find it real quick. Send it to the click. Wow, the place is sick.
Get the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra with Galaxy AI for just $56.99 a month with Club Card prices. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
When I woke up, they said, Alyssa, you've got leukemia. We found out that the chemo wasn't working.
Cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK, but innovative new treatments could help beat cancer for more children like Alyssa.
I'm cancer-free now.
Text, call or search to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital. So together, we can save more lives.
Sign up and start saving with Quidco today. Get cashback every time you shop on over 5,000 brands. It always pays to Quidco.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs, and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £100 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
Our first year as a family flew by. And now, I want to make sure he'll be financially protected for all his birthdays to come. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, how can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for family life insurance.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
That's great.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my wife pay off the mortgage.
And with our Smart Family Guarantee, you'll have peace of mind.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0808 141 5855 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
The only thing that I focused on.
Okay, welcome back. This is India Global. We turn our attention now to the navies of Iran, Russia and China that are conducting military drills off the coast of Iran this week to strengthen their cooperation. The three countries, which share a common desire to counter what they characterize as the and U.S. hegemony, have held similar exercises in the region in recent years. This is the fifth such exercise that is being held by the three countries. The joint naval drills are being held at Iran's Chabahar port. In response to these reactions, U.S. President Donald Trump declared that America is stronger than all three countries put together. Listen into what he said. We come back and talk more about its significance and, most importantly, timing.
China and Iran are doing military exercises together. Does that concern you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Why not?
Because we're stronger than all of them. We have more power than all of them. I rebuilt the military. Unfortunately, Biden did nothing with it, but I rebuilt the military.
Okay, so this is happening also off the coast of Gulf of Oman. 25% of the world's sea traffic passes through this region, which is why it is so significant. And the big questions that we are asking is that these drills, what it means. Does it mean that amidst growing U.S. threat, Russia, China and Iran are growing even closer? Trump has claimed that U.S. is stronger, but is Washington really facing the pressure when it comes to these countries coming together? And what do these signal amidst closer Trump-Putin bonhomie? Remember, there are these mixed signals coming about whether Donald Trump has broken the ice, has a certain wavelength going with Putin or not. He put sanctions, but before that he also said he wants to reach out. So amidst all of that, how do these drills pan out and impact the region? Let's get in Mohammed, who's an independent researcher and political commentator, joining me live from Iran to talk more about this. So thank you so much for speaking to me on NDTV. My first question is, how do you see the significance of this drill and its larger impact?
Hi, thanks for having me. These kinds of drills are not new for these three countries. Iran, Russia, and China have conducted similar drills since 2019, and these drills are aimed at boosting cooperation and boosting combat capabilities of the three countries. So this is not anything new, and it's not related to the rhetorical threats posed by Trump and his administration. So Trump, in his first term, tried his policy of maximum pressure on Iran, but since then, Iran has been able to join BRICS countries, and Iran has been able to join SCO, Shanghai Organization, and also Iran has been able to continue selling oil. U.S. had threatened.
No, I understand that these exercises have been going on since 2019, but there are some things about optics and timing, right? I mean, this is happening at a time when there is so much being said in terms of Trump's equation with Putin, how Trump is trying to address the Iran issue, and how Trump is trying to take on China in a bigger way through tariffs.
So Trump is trying to put her on by threatening to restrict Iranian oil, but this can't happen because Iran is able to sell its oil. If the pressure becomes real, Iran is able to put pressure on U.S. also by militarizing the Hormuz Strait, and this cooperation shows that this U.S. is not the only power to provide in the region, and these three countries are able to put pressure on U.S. by showing this that they are also able to control areas and waterways. This is not just the U.S. Trump, by pressuring his allies, is becoming, the Westerners are becoming divided, and the U.S. is pressuring its allies, NATO allies, but on the other side, Iran, Russia, and China are boosting cooperation. And this shows that, yeah.
All right, we leave it there, sir. There's a bit of an issue with the signal, but I'm going to come back and talk on this, given how important this issue is. Shifting focus, well, to another story and another country, and which is also understanding the pressure that Donald Trump's administration is putting on it, which is Greenland. The Greenlanders will brave the harsh ice and snow to participate in an election on Tuesday that could shape the island's future like never before. As I said, Donald Trump's repeated threats have been coming in to purchase Greenland. Voters in the self-ruling Danish territory will select 31 members of its legislature as part of the regular 4-year cycle. However, this election holds exceptional significance with the island's global position at stake, ranging from its relationship with Denmark to the possibility of pursuing independence or even forging stronger ties with global countries like the U.S. and, of course, Europe. On to the big story coming in internationally. Canada's political landscape has shifted dramatically. Mark Carney has now taken the reins. He has succeeded Justin Trudeau as the next Prime Minister of Canada. Of course, this is still the time elections are held in Canada, but he will lead the Liberal Party into the election cycle. He steps into power. The cloud of the Khalistani issue looms large. Khalistan was an issue that actually completely destroyed the India-Canada relationship under Justin Trudeau. It hit an all-time low. But bilateral relations are meant to survive leaders, and there is expectation that Mark Carney will work on that. We explored the potential for a reset in relations, trade deals, and Canada's largest foreign student base, that is the Indian community, under this new leadership. And this report tells you all that story in greater detail.
The next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney.
We have made this the greatest country in the world, and now our neighbors want to take us.
Donald Trump, he's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
Please welcome our final candidate, Mark Carney.
In a decisive political shift, Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of Canada, has clinched victory as the Liberal Party's new leader, succeeding Justin Trudeau as Canada's Prime Minister. While Carney's economic background offers hope for Canada's domestic recovery, the global spotlight is now on his approach to foreign policy, particularly relations with India. Under Trudeau, tensions with India spiked after the baseless accusation that India was involved in the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. They sparked a diplomatic feud, leading to the expulsion of Canadian diplomats from India and New Delhi, recalling its own in a dramatic downturn in trade relations. Canada's growing Khalistani extremist movement, supported by local diaspora, has been a thorn in the sides of relations. Despite this, Carney has been relatively quiet on the issue, leaving many to wonder if he will take a more pragmatic stand or appease the extremist sympathizers within his own party and allies like Jagmeet Singh. India, Canada's largest source of foreign students, remains concerns about tightening visa restrictions and shifting immigration policies. thousands of Indian students' futures hang in the balance as Ottawa adjusts its immigration system, leaving questions unanswered about Carney's approach. However, Carney's expertise in economics could very well pave the way for rebuilding stalled trade negotiations with India. Both nations are eyeing a cooperative future, with Carney's leadership offering a potential avenue for smoother trade and investment exchanges. As Mike Carney navigates these challenging waters, the world is watching closely. Can he balance domestic pressures while repairing relations with New Delhi?
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Global. But on the other side of this break is a very special show where we focus on what does the leadership change in Canada mean for India. Stay with us.
At Tesco Mobile, unlock even better phone deals with your Club Card. Get our 30 gig SIM for just £12.50 a month with Club Card prices, saving you £30. Better yet, your Club Card lets you unlock more than just great deals, like frozen prices and no EU roaming fees until the end of your contract. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
We know that living with diabetes can make daily life a challenge, and we're here to help.
I felt very low with the diagnosis and very lonely as well, and embarrassed.
I think people don't necessarily realise the impact that being diabetic can have on you, and the amount of extra decisions you have to make a day through carb counting every single thing you eat.
If you're struggling with the everyday challenges diabetes can bring, become a Diabetes UK member today. Receive this informative welcome pack and Balance magazine.
Balance magazine has been very good in giving me tips to manage my diabetes on a day-to-day basis.
One of the things I was recommended to do was exercise. What motivated me was my love of dance, and I got that back.
Join a community that really understands. Call 0800 035 7605 or go online to become a member for just £3 a month.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, we know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal, every step of the way.
From tech titan to global philanthropist, Bill Gates has had a huge impact on the lives of millions across the world. As the co-founder of Microsoft, he's in a sense defined what personal computing has been for all of us. The vision that he had of the personal computer way back in the 70s and its evolution and the transformation of Microsoft has been fundamental in terms of tech, in terms of IT, in terms of the entire sector. And it's time now for Mr. Gates to pen his thoughts down, which is why he's come out with this. This is the first of 3 books. It's called Source Code, My Beginnings, and it's my great privilege to be over here in Palm Springs, in California.
The next Prime Minister of Canada, Carney.
We have made this the greatest country in the world, and now our neighbors want to take us.
Donald Trump, he's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
So viewers, former governor of the Bank of Canada and Bank of England, Mark Carney, is set to step into the role of the next Prime Minister of Canada, replacing Justin Trudeau, who announced his resignation in January. Interestingly, he'll only be the second Prime Minister in Canadian history without a seat in Parliament. Carney, who won the Liberal leadership election by a landslide of 85.9% of the vote, now faces mammoth economic, trade and foreign policy challenges. But the increasingly tense relationship with the United States as trade disputes escalate under Donald Trump's leadership will be his biggest and probably primary challenge. 59-year-old Carney wasted no time in addressing the challenges ahead, particularly the ongoing tariff war with the U.S. that has plagued the Canadian economy for months. Carney's comments echo the growing frustration across Canada, where Americans' economic pressures are being felt at every possible level, from soaring costs of goods to the ongoing uncertainty in the global market. He vowed to keep retaliatory tariffs in place, declaring that Canada will not back down till the U.S. shows respect. The growing nationalism in Canada has led to an unprecedented surge in anti-American sentiment, with many Canadians voicing their anger by boycotting American goods and avoiding travel south of the border. Trump's repeated threats to annex Canada and his harsh trade policies have sparked massive resentment.
There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living.
Nous gagnons nos vies.
He's attacking
Il s'est attaqué
Canadian families,
aux travailleurs,
workers, and
aux familles et aux
businesses,
entreprises
and we
canadiennes.
cannot let him
Et on ne peut
succeed.
pas le laisser faire.
And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government
Le gouvernement
has rightly
canadien
retaliated
est allé
and
de
is
l'avant
rightly
avec ses mesures
retaliating
de
with our own
représailles.
tariffs that will
Nous avons
have
nos propres
maximum
tarifs.
impact in the
Cela aura
United
une
States and
incidence
minimum impact
importante aux
here in Canada.
États-Unis avec peu de répercussions ici au Canada.
And my government will keep our tariffs
Nous
on
maintiendrons
until
ces
the
tarifs
Americans show us
jusqu'à ce que les
respect.
Américains...
America is not Canada.
Les États-Unis, ce n'est
And
pas le
Canada
Canada.
never,
Et
ever
le
will
Canada
be part of
ne fera
America
jamais
in
partie des
any
États-Unis
way, shape, or
d'une
form.
façon ou d'une autre.
Okay, so before we decode what this means for India, for Canada, I want to play out this report that tells you who exactly is Mark Carney, the former central banker who oversaw the response to financial crisis in both North America and the UK.
A man most Canadians barely recognized months ago is now set to become the country's 24th Prime Minister. Mark Carney, a former central banker, will succeed Justin Trudeau, who announced his resignation earlier this year. Carney will have just months to rebuild his party for a national election and protect Canada from Donald Trump's tariff threats and even annexation. Carney's story is unique. Born in Canada's Northwest Territories, he grew up in Edmonton, studied at Harvard and Oxford, and spent 13 years at Goldman Sachs. In 2008, he led Canada through the financial crisis as the Bank of Canada's governor. In 2013, he became the first non-British citizen to lead the Bank of England, steering the UK through Brexit. But Carney has never been a career politician. His rise began in 2021 when he aligned with the Liberal Party. By late 2023, Trudeau's popularity was plummeting. When Carney was offered the finance minister post in December, he declined. The move triggered internal turmoil, ultimately forcing Trudeau to step down. Carney now presents himself as a financial expert, not a typical politician. His campaign pitch is simple: fix Canada's economy and push back against Trump's trade threats. When Trump joked about annexing Canada, Carney shot back and said, "We find you attractive, but we're not moving in with you," a line that went viral. And while Carney's background makes him ideal for managing economic turmoil, it also paints him as an outsider, a banker who spent more time working for foreign governments than his own. Yet Carney's international clout could work in his favor. European leaders like Emmanuel Macron, former UK Chancellor George Osborne have praised his leadership, seeing him as a stabilizing force against Trump. For a man who built his career behind closed doors, Mark Carney now finds himself in the heart of Canada's biggest political storm. Winning the election is a milestone, but holding on to power under the looming shadow of Trump's tariffs will be his real test. NDTV World Bureau Report.
Okay, so what does this mean for Canada first, before we come down to ask what it means for India? Joining me are two interesting ladies, Ruby Dhalla, who's a former member of the House of Commons of Canada, and Sharon Kaur, who's a political strategist, someone who understands the Canadian political landscape very well. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me on this broadcast. Sharon, before I come to you, let me quickly rope in Ruby and just quickly ask her this, that well, Ruby, it's a landslide victory for Carney, and when is he expected to really, and how do you think he's going to drive the country towards elections? Because this is an interim arrangement right now. How do you see the path towards elections from here on for Mark Carney and for Canada?
Well, there is definitely a lot of work to be done by the new leader for the Liberal Party and the new Prime Minister in Canada. There are many challenges that the country is facing, that Canadian families are facing, and most importantly, there is a tariff tax that is being implemented and imposed by the President of the United States of America. So Canada has a lot of challenges, and people are looking for the new leader and the Prime Minister to go to an election within the coming weeks.
And also, Ruby, there's been a surge in the popularity of the Liberal Party. In fact, the Conservative majority that was expected in Parliament just a couple of months back now seems absolutely unlikely. They've arrested their free fall. How do you see that now impacting the larger political landscape in which Mark Carney is going to operate?
I think only time is going to, tell. Ultimately, it'll be in an election campaign where the Canadian voters will decide, which vision they want for the future of Canada and for the leadership that they would like for their families, for Canada's economy, for Canada's workers, because of the number of challenges. So I think that, when you're in the political world, a day is a lifetime in politics, and party fortunes, change day in and day out. And ultimately, it'll be the Canadian voters that will decide who will be elected as Canada's next government to lead it into the coming years.
He's only the second Prime Minister in Canadian history without a seat in Parliament. Many say he lacks political experience. He hasn't been in government. How do you see that impacting what's going to be, a very significant set of challenges that Mr. Carney will have to address right away?
Well, I can only base it, on my experience. As you will know, that I was a candidate in the leadership race for the Liberal Party of Canada, and also to become Canada's next Prime Minister. It was very historic. I am the first woman from the Indo-Canadian community, the first woman of color to actually run for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. And I spoke in my campaign about bringing the party back to the center with some really progressive policy ideas that were the need of the hour, because I have not been involved in the Ottawa bubble and the Trudeau government for the last 10 years, but have really been living in the real world and focusing, on business, and focusing really on talking to Canadians and hearing about the many challenges that they are facing, for the increased cost of homes in the country, the increase in gas prices, increase in grocery prices, the threats of, the tariffs that are being implemented by President Trump in the United States. And as our campaign was growing, as we were building momentum, all of a sudden I was disqualified, and the party didn't realize of how much it would actually backfire, because people's anger across the country, across all party lines, just erupted. We had 5.8 million people alone on Twitter that engaged with us, another 4.8 million people on Instagram that engaged with us because they were so angry at the Liberal Party for this attack on democracy, this attack on justice, this attack on fairness. And people wanted to have, the right to be able to choose, to select who their next leader was going to be, and to actually have their vote and their voice in who the next prime minister for Canada was going to be. And going back to your question about, Mr. Carney's inexperience, I have actually been in 4 elections, and I have won 3 of those elections as a member of parliament. So both myself and the others that were in the race, except for Mark Carney, we are actually already battle tested, and I was battle ready because I've been through the election process. So no one really knows how Mr. Carney is going to perform, but what ended up coming out as a result of my disqualification is that they, the establishment did not want to have Ruby Dalla on the debate floor because she might be too aggressive for Mr. Carney. So when I hear those types of, remarks being passed by various party officials and other Canadians, hear of the fact that the Liberal Party establishment did not want Ruby Dalla on that debate floor, they become a little bit skeptical at the ability of, Mr. Mark Carney now as the leader to be able to take on the opposition leader who has spent his career in politics and is actually a very, very strong debater as well. And, we will know from running election campaigns, you have to know your issues, you have to know how to, how to debate, and you have to be battle tested and battle ready when you're going into this type of environment. So only time is going to tell what Mr. Carney's performance will be like in the coming days and the coming weeks.
All right. Let's leave it there, Ruby, and let's ask this to Sharon that, who's battle ready, who's battle tested, and what's the size and scale of the battle that Mark Carney is really looking at. And I guess, Sharon, the biggest battle that awaits him, of course, is the Trump tariffs. They kick in on the 2nd of April. There may have been some carve-outs, but Mr. Trump is very clear. Those tariffs are coming. A trade war is on its way.
And I'm going to get to that, but I want to go back to 1 second here because you have a panelist on here who just said a whole bunch of stuff that's not actually true. Listen, this today was about the new leader being elected. It was not a discussion about Ruby Dalla being disqualified for valid reasons. You cannot throw out these 5.8 million numbers. Twitter, X, these are not barometers for anything. So please, let's just cut that out and cut the crap on this. Mark Carney won because he.
Let's focus on Mr. Carney. Let's focus on Canada. Let's focus on Mr. Carney.
I'm talking about that. Mark Carney ran a campaign that was extremely strong. He is a 2-time central bank governor. You might not agree with the methods of how leadership battles happen, but there are checks and measures that are put in place. And Mark Carney checked all those checks and balances off.
Absolutely, he did.
Some candidates were disqualified for valid reasons, but he is someone who has experience. And when it comes to dealing with someone like Donald Trump, we're looking at an American government that did not have a lot of respect for the Trudeau administration for a variety of reasons. They dealt with NAFTA negotiations the first time around. I was part of those discussions. I saw the dynamics. So Mark Carney coming in now as the PM and as the leader will change that channel. It'll change that channel. He dealt with Brexit. He is.
How will that change that channel? That's a very important point and pretty much at the center of what Canadians would also be expecting from Mr. Carney. So how will that change? How will that relationship with Mr. Trump change under Mark Carney?
I think you have to look at it from the perspective of this is a bit of a fresh page. I don't think it's going to change Donald Trump's perspective completely. But if you remove Trudeau out of that question, which was his biggest, I would say, he called him governor, the 51st state. He had no respect for him. And I think with someone like Mark Carney, who is used to dealing with that type of personality, I think we will see that. But we're already seeing a shift with the retaliatory tariffs. We're seeing that with our provincial premier, Doug Ford, who's pushed back with cutting off electricity or tariffing the electricity. So we will see a shift in that. But it's only been a few hours. I think we have to give it a couple days to see where he goes and whether he has a new cabinet come into place. But I would say for our international media colleagues, definitely expect a change in tone and tenor coming out of the U.S.
This all started with one simple idea: to put high-quality watches within everyone's reach. We knew to do this, our English design needed Swiss precision. Never heard of us? Christopher Ward. Do your research.
When I woke up, they said, "Alyssa, you've got leukemia." We found out that the chemo wasn't working. So at that point, it was like, I'm gonna die. My consultant was looking for these clinical trials, and she found this one at Great Ormond Street. I'm cancer-free now.
Curing Alyssa was a world first, but cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK. Will you help us do more? Search Gosh Care to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital, a home for breakthrough research with world-class facilities to help beat cancer for more children. Together, with your kind support, we can help save lives and transform children's cancer care for decades to come. Text CARE to 70125 to give £3 a month and help build our new children's cancer centre. Together, we can beat cancer for more children.
With retirement round the corner, I want to spend more time with my family, which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
Children affected by the war in Ukraine still need our help. Homes, schools and hospitals have been destroyed. UNICEF is still providing life-saving supplies and vital services. £25 could help provide emergency supplies like safe water, maternity kits or essential vaccines. Search UNICEF Ukraine or text Ukraine to 84903 and help children caught up in this terrible war today.
Poor pet. Just shows you never know what's going to happen. That's why I'm looking into Smart Family Life Insurance.
Just like families, not all life insurance is the same. That's why we offer the Smart Family Guarantee. We guarantee a straightforward application process, award-winning service you can trust, and cover from day one. Plus, you get your choice of £125 gift card.
To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Shifting focus now, Justin Trudeau's handling of India-Canada relations is something that I want to focus on. And remember, it left a very sharp impact as far as the diplomatic and economic disaster that happened. And Mark Carney is determined. Shots of him with business leaders are there. Now Mark Carney steps in with a bold promise to rebuild the crucial trade ties with Trudeau that have been shattered in the past. But can Carney really fix what Trudeau broke? This report tells you.
This Canadian leader, Mark Carney, has vowed to rebuild Canada's strained trade ties with India, a relationship that crumbled under the Trudeau government. Speaking in Calgary, Carney said he will rebuild the trade partnership with India, calling it crucial to diversifying Canada's economy. He added that a shared sense of values would be key to this commercial relationship, signaling a major reset after years of diplomatic chaos. And Carney may just be the right man to clean up Trudeau's mess. Until January this year, he was chair of the board at Brookfield Asset Management, a global investment firm that holds over $30 billion worth of assets in India. Carney has seen firsthand the potential of India's economy, and now he wants Canada to capitalize on it. But Carney is walking into a disaster Trudeau left behind. In 2023, Justin Trudeau accused India of being involved in the killing of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. What followed was a diplomatic disaster. Trade talks were frozen, diplomatic ties nosedived to say the least, and any hope of any trade deal vanished. Trudeau's handling of the crisis didn't just cost Canada politically, it cost the country billions in potential trade. Under his government, India, one of the world's fastest growing economies, turned its back on Canada. And now Carney is promising to fix what Trudeau broke. His promise has already drawn praise from Canadian business groups who see Carney's global experience as a chance to restore economic ties with India. But fixing the damage won't be easy. With Donald Trump threatening to slam Canada with heavy tariffs, Carney's first few months in office could be defined by two urgent tasks: protecting Canada's economy from Trump and salvaging what's left of the country's relationship with India. Restoring this critical trade partnership could unlock billions in economic potential, reshaping Canada's global standing and economic future. But if he fails, it would cement Trudeau's legacy as the man who destroyed one of Canada's most promising global partnerships. For now, Carney is campaigning to undo Trudeau's foreign policy disaster and rebuild Canada's relationship with India from scratch. With Rhythm Arcadia, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
All right, let's get in Daniel Bodman and Manjeev Singh Puri to talk more about what is exactly at stake here and can Mark Carney really fix it. Daniel, let me start with you. The India-Canada relationship probably saw its nadir under Justin Trudeau. Do you expect Mark Carney to be able to repair it?
No, it all depends. It's a triangle between different things. It depends on how serious India is about the Khalistan issue, right? Because Mark Carney, unlike Trudeau, might not go full on the open woke nonsense, but Mark Carney's fully backed by all the nefarious factors that backed Trudeau. He's deeply in bed with the CCP. All the Khalistanis and Muslim Brotherhood MPs immediately backed Carney because it wasn't really an election, it was a selection. What our previous guest said about there being checks and balances inside a Canadian electoral race is an absolute lie. There are no checks and balances in internal party Canadian elections. Federal elections between parties are real, but when there's a internal party election, Liberal, Conservative, NDP, it's a fourth world banana republic system where the party basically gets to select who they want and then investigate themselves if there's any wrongdoing. So Mark Carney was actually the architect of most of Trudeau's economic policies. He's huge on green energy, mass migration. He moved his company, Brookings, that you talked about, to the United States from Canada. So he's had a hand in every failed policy that Justin Trudeau's ever designed. Now, with the Liberals and Mark Carney, it is probably true that he's still going to be fully embedded with the Khalistanis, fully embedded with the CCP. But what is likely is if India or Indian businessmen want to bribe him, give donations to his wife's company or do business with his wife's company, the Asia Group, they would probably get special favors by playing sort of standard liberal politics here.
Okay.
So if that's going to fix the India relationship, maybe. But again, there's a nexus he has to work with because he has to, I mean, the fight between Canada and India has the Americans somewhat in the middle because our entire case against India rests on American intelligence, like most Canadian intelligence cases do, rests fully on American intelligence. So unless he's willing to just go out and say, mea culpa, we were wrong on all of that, which he might, but then he'll face an uproar from the Khalistani base in his party. So if he's willing to just shoo that away, that'd be interesting, but it would be up to Carney, and I don't really see that happening.
Ambassador Puri, you want to come in there? There are expectations, but Daniel seems to be doing some sort of a reality check here.
Gaurie, good morning, and thank you for having me in the program. I found this fascinating to hear three Canadians talk about their own country. Look, as an outsider, and frankly, they know their country better, it would appear to me that for the moment, the Liberal Party has made the best possible choice. They've chosen a technocratic person, somebody who knows the economy, somebody who's known in the world, and so therefore, how it went, what can I say? Relations with India, look, they can only go northwards. There should be no two ways about it. But let's also understand, for the moment, Mr. Carney's greatest preoccupation have to be the Canadian economy, the situation vis-a-vis the United States, and the upcoming elections, which should be announced very soon. We are, yes, we think we are big players, but that's not necessarily the case. My own view, and I am subject to correction by those who live in that country, is that the elections may result in diminishing the parties which resulted in Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party being a bit beholden politically.
Okay, so Jagmeet Singh could be defeated. And, I'm running out of time, but a quick question from both of you. Yeah. Let's keep it short. Justin, Daniel, do you see that Jagmeet Singh's party could be diminished in the upcoming elections and that could have a larger impact?
Yeah, Jagmeet Singh's party is doing terribly. They could turn this around if Jagmeet Singh decides to take the manna that fell from heaven and attack the global banker who calls himself a European citizen with 3 different passports and who moved his company to America, instead of attacking the conservative opposition, then the NDP could pull through this. But if Jagmeet Singh continues to do the thing he's currently doing, the party will be obliterated, as it's currently looking like in the polls.
All right, let's leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's early days for Mark Carney as he is yet to walk into office to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. He has only limited time. He has to call elections. He's going to lead the Liberal Party, who's now, of course, recovered from the free fall in its ratings. He has a lot on his plate, but of course, recovery and reviving the India-Canada relationship should be a key priority and focus for Mark Carney. Thank you so much for watching this special show with me, Gaurie.
This baby bear is terrified, torn from her mother's paws at a tender age. They will force her to live alone in a tiny, filthy cage, like so many bears driven mad by loneliness, rubbing their wounds raw against the bars, suffering cruelly day after day, year after year, just for people's entertainment. Four Paws found little Potap crammed into a tiny, squalid cage. He'd been there for almost 9 years, lonely and isolated. There are so many more young bears who need your help. Please call 0800 038 0496 or text BEAR5 to 70800 to give £3 a month via your mobile phone. Every month, your £3 could help us free more bears. Help give bears the veterinary care they need and help them live happy, healthy lives in the freedom of our natural sanctuaries. Please call 0800 038 0496 or text BEAR5 to 70800 to give £3 a month via your mobile phone and help Four Paws free bears from agonizing torture. Please, don't leave these bears to suffer for a single day more.
Nescafe Frothy Coffees, because sometimes nothing tastes better than a no. With a creamy, long-lasting froth to get you ready for your next yes. Say yes to our best-tasting cappuccino. And now, get ready to mix things up with new Nescafe Kit Kat Latte.
When you paint by feeling, you can come home to a blooming good day. Change starts here. Dulux.
Few of us ever look after our ears as much as we should. But when my hearing changed, I didn't want to lose what matters to me. Hidden Hearing understood. It wasn't just about hearing better. It's about living the life I love. Book your free hearing test at one of our 300 clinics nationwide and experience how our personalized